little bit of painting and explain a couple of things as I'm painting along. One of the things that I always like to do, and we'll kind of do this as a um, educational. So when I paint a painting, the first thing I do is I paint the background. And I get an idea of exactly what I want to paint the background as. And I do that because I need to know how all of the other complementary and the contrast is going to work when I put this on. So complementary colors are great, but when you want to make sure it's going to pop out, you have to have the appropriate contrast. And then the next thing I do is I'm going to sketch out all of my white. Now, I painstakingly sketch everything out on a piece of butcher paper. And then when I've got it just right, which takes a long time because I'm not that great at sketching things out, once I've got it right, then I will photograph it, and then I'll use my projector, project it on the canvas, and then I'll take a very fine brush and I'll start painting in all of my white and then all of my dark so that I've got a way of starting. And one of the nice things about that is when you know what you're working with and you know what kind of colors you're going to have, then you can come in with things and all of that white is just going to show up and help you absolutely bring in and hurry up and paint. And the white shines through. This is what I'm using right now is burnt sienna, which is a mostly transparent medium. And that transparency I'm going to use quite a bit. It's going to shake a little bit because I'm currently using, this is attached to my actual canvas board. And there are a couple of colors I use, and I use religiously, some things that help me out a lot. One of them, of course, is my burnt sienna. Burnt sienna is just a fantastic color. It works almost all the time for a myriad of uses when you're trying to get that old-fashioned look, or in this case, a fantasy painting look. So you get just a couple of things popped in there, and you can tell when you're running out. And then the other one is transparent burnt umber. Transparent burnt umber with the burnt sienna is going to give me a really lovely leather look. You can see it's already starting to pull in here. Now, I don't worry too much about if I'm picking up some of the other paint, because if I am, I'm just going to end up going over it again once it dries, and that'll help me get just a touch more in the color of what I want. So you can already see that my leather is working out very nicely here. We have a whopping one person watching, so that's great. And so there we go. There's our transparent burnt umber, giving us the shading that we want. Sometimes you want to get a little bit of a lightened up color, so take a tiny, tiny bit of yellow or orange and mix that with your burnt sienna. That'll lighten things up for you and give you a really nice highlight color for your leather. Now right now we're still just trying to get most of this worked in. I went just a little bit outside of where I had put in my lines there, so I'm going to have to work that in later, which is fine because I'll come in with some kind of a hard line sheet. One of those things, you're never supposed to put a hard line in certain places. Yeah, well, you know what? Those kinds of cheats, if you've taken a look at any of my other paintings, the depth that they've got and the color, and a lot of what I'm using is a Dutch method called chiaroscuro, or chiaroscuro. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I mean, if I were Rembrandt or Vermeer, I'd know how to pronounce it. Lucky me, I'm not Rembrandt or Vermeer. I say lucky me because, well, they're dead. And I'd rather make money while I'm alive. And then, when you've got some areas that just absolutely need to be darkened up, go in and you can either use a Mediterranean blue with some burnt umber, or in some cases, I will just use black. There's that old adage, never use black. So if you're going to use black, make sure that you do it judiciously, not too much. Have it come in. But as you can see, just in that short amount of time, we've already been able to fill in most of this leather. Now, I want to pick out some hard lines inside my shadow, and then I'm going to let's talk about the brushes. These are makeup brushes. Makeup brushes are how I get all of the softness to most of my paintings. And they work great. So Hang on one second here. Let's get a little more transparent burnt umber and a little bit of black. And you can start to see how you can really get your shadows very soft with these makeup brushes. And that's one of the secrets to how I paint so quickly, because in the month of October I did 33 paintings in less than 31 days because I didn't paint the entire month. And I've been a little bit lax this month because I got sick, so I'm still a little bit sick, but you just can't keep me outside of my studio. It's a good thing I'm divorced and I don't have to worry about my ex-wife constantly nagging me about getting better. All right. Let's talk about paints that I use. The paint that I prefer using the most is called M. Graham & Co., but that is a very expensive and a very thick pigment paint. So when I want to get something that I can afford, I just go for the regular old Master's Touch acrylic. And then if I want to go a touch more than that, I'll get the Master's Touch thick acrylic. In fact, I think what we're going to do here is we're going to take and add just a little bit of red to our burnt sienna. And I want you guys to see what it does when we hit the shadows with it. So hang on one second. Let's get a little bit more paint here. Okay. We're just going to use a medium red and our burnt sienna. And it's going to richen up our shadows. And it brings in a really nice touch through there. If you don't feel like you've got enough refracted or reflected light inside your cloak, just go ahead and put some of this over top of your black. I promise it'll show up. It may not show up with what you guys are seeing in across the internet, but it'll certainly do it in person. So here we go. There we go, and that makes it look really nice, and it gives a little bit more color to our shadow. And there we go, guys. Fast way to make leather appear. Great looking leather too. I think I'll go in with some highlights later. Hey, thanks for tuning in. That was the first live. I appreciate it. You guys have a great day.